Hi, my name's Olivier Dowling, and I'm the lead level designer on Farm Hero Saga at King, the makers of Candy Crush. I've worked on a few casual games during my time at King, and I thought I would share some of the learnings that I learned today. So my timing's wrong. Okay, there you go. So there are so many companies out there that are attempting to release so many games to the market with thousands of levels. Since I've gained quite a bit of experience tweaking, balancing, and creating thousands of levels, I thought I would share with you some of my lessons on making levels for mobile casual games. But this is just my opinion. It doesn't represent King or their best practices. These are just some of my personal learnings that I've experienced while working there. Whether it be match 3 games, bubble shooters, linkers, I believe that most of these rules, or lessons, sorry, can be applied to these games. So to make a good level, I found that there are 2 key main areas to focus on. One is the specific tools or the board elements that I can use to make a level. And secondly is the process in which how you can make levels. And most of the lessons today are gonna go into one of those 2 areas. So my process and the way I make levels would be either one is to start with the level layout or the board shape and see how that provides an interesting constraint. Or secondly is to look at 2 board items that synergize well together and work and build a level around that. So lesson number 1 would be, when designing levels for your casual games, would be to think about the board shape, the way that the board affects the way that players play it, and also then using these synergizing elements that provide an interesting foundation and start from there. Lesson number 2 is to think about these board items, but the difference between strategic, more complex blockers or board elements versus explosive, collectible. And you want to try and get a mixture of these board elements to add variety when creating episodes or a collection of levels. Furthermore, on these actual game elements, you want to try and use positive board elements that help the player. Try and avoid negative elements that prevent progression and try and avoid frustration. And it's okay if you release some sort of board element to the players and they aren't fun. You can phase them out. That's cool. Lesson number 3 is understanding your users and what they want. So using player meet session, forums. Before you set off in one direction, you should try and ask your audience first, and then get that into your workflow early, and you're going to get the most success out of that. Also, when creating levels, it's really important to think about balancing, playtesting, feedback, iteration. These are all normal things, but they really go a long way for the success of creating thousands of levels. And not only that is getting feedback from not external parties, but also your team as well. They should be really tuned into giving and receiving feedback. Lesson number 4 is lots of choices. So we want to look at spawning frequencies, the amount of colors you can use, custom spawners. These are all levers and game elements you can use to sort of provide a lot of choice for your levels. And also, when creating levels, you want levels that shuffle less. You want to give more agency. You want to provide more choices so that players can make as many moves as they can, and then let players do more things that are cool, so they feel smart. You want them to feel still smart. Lesson number 5. Is gameplay. We want to look at how does the level flow? What's the progression like? Are there multiple phases? What about the player journey? What about the feelings and the emotions that players are experiencing while playing these levels? And the objectives. And then there's the level length. So there's a difference between long levels and short levels. I originally learned that longer levels created a higher need for players wanting to pass due to the time for investment, and that's frustrating. We want to push players through multiple levels that are shorter and more engaging experiences. The next lesson number 6 would be difficulty and clarity. So when we're making levels, they want the difficulty to be appropriate for where they are in the game. And thinking about tutorials and onboarding is really important to phase in different mechanics and features within your game in Saga. Clarity, so clear goals, make it easy for players to understand what to do and how to do it. And if you have a discovery mechanic within your level, that's fine, but make sure once it's fully clear, the player knows exactly how to complete the level. Lesson number 7 is aesthetics. So the level should look nice. It should be different. You want to use like preset colors, patterns on the board. Think about symmetry. Like the level can be symmetrical or asymmetrical. You want to provide all these things tie into providing a much nicer player experience in it, which is engaging. And then there's the events. So you want to tie it all together with events for the most success. For example, Valentine's Day. You want to create a board shape that has a love heart. You want to use red candies, and that all just it ties in really nicely, and it's connected to the other events and external features. Lesson number 8 is uniqueness. So it's nice, but it's not essential. Don't lose your mind about being original. There's thousands of levels. The best level is a usable level. Making a level that works is enough. We have to work to so many deadlines, and sometimes you don't have to create you don't have time to create the most exciting thing. Candy Crush has over 5,000 levels, and they all can't be completely unique, but that's okay. So yeah, these are some of my lessons. If you want to catch up after, yeah, that would be great. Thanks.